Emma and the Lost Animals, a brave journey. In a cozy village next to a big old forest, where flowers danced in the wind and the air felt full of secrets, lived a girl named Emma. She was 12, with bright eyes that shone like morning dew, and a heart that dreamed of adventure. Emma loved drawing in her little notebook, sketching trees and birds, but deep inside she was scared. Scared of the dark forest, scared of getting lost, scared of messing up. Her hands shook when she thought about leaving the village, and her big dreams were stopped by a quiet voice saying, "What if you can't do it? What if you fail?" One sunny afternoon, Emma sat on the grass by the forest, her pencil moving fast over her notebook. The trees stood tall, their leaves whispering stories she couldn't quite hear. A soft rustle made her look up. A small fox with red fur stood there, its eyes big and worried. "Hi," Emma said softly, her heart beating fast. Talking animals were in village stories, but she'd never met one. "Are you okay?" The fox tilted its head like it was deciding if it could trust her. "I'm lost," it said, its voice shaky but clear. "I was following a smell, something amazing. And now, I don't know where I am." Emma's chest felt tight. She wanted to run home to hide in her safe bed. But the fox's sad eyes kept her there. "I'm Emma," she said, holding her notebook tight. "I can try to help." Before the fox could answer, more noises came from the bushes. A shy rabbit hopped out, its ears twitching. Then came a happy bird with bright feathers, a calm deer with deep eyes, and a chatty squirrel bouncing around. They gathered around Emma, talking all at once. "We're lost too," the rabbit said, its voice tiny. "We heard about a secret meadow in the forest, a place full of light and friends." The bird chirped, sounding less cheerful than before. "But the forest is so big and we got scared." The deer lowered her head. "We don't know how to find it." The squirrel, still hopping, added, "You live by the forest, you must know the way." Emma's stomach twisted. The forest was huge, with paths that twisted like a maze. She'd heard stories of people disappearing in its shadows. "I don't know the way," she said, her hands shaking as she held her notebook. The animals looked sad, their hope fading like a dying fire. The squirrel tilted its head. "But you're brave, right? You can help us." Emma wanted to say how scared she was, how her fear kept her stuck in the village, but their trusting eyes stopped her. She couldn't let them down. "Let's go together," she said, trying to sound strong. The animals' faces lit up, their trust wrapping around her like a warm hug. Emma ran home to grab a small lantern, a piece of bread, and her notebook, then whispered goodbye to her quiet village. As they stepped into the forest, the trees closed in their branches, blocking the sun. Shadows moved like ghosts, and strange sounds, hoots, rustles, growls filled the air. Emma's heart pounded, her lantern's light small against the dark. She looked at the animals, the rabbit shaking, the fox sniffing carefully, the bird fluttering nervously, the deer stepping softly, the squirrel darting around. Their fear was like hers, but their trust kept her moving. The path twisted deeper, the air getting cold as the sun went down. After a long walk, the trail split into three. One covered in sharp thorns, one hidden in thick fog, and one going down a steep hill to a loud river. The rabbit pressed against Emma's leg, trembling. "What if we pick the wrong one?" it whispered. The fox paced, muttering about danger. The bird's happy chirp stopped, and even the squirrel got quiet. Emma's fear shouted in her head, "Go back, you'll get them lost. You'll ruin everything." Her hands shook, the lantern's light dancing. She wanted to cry, to run home, but she remembered a story her grandma told about a traveler who picked the hard path and found something wonderful. Emma pointed to the hill that won. She said, her voice wobbly. The animals looked unsure, but the deer stepped forward. "We trust you, Emma." The path was steep and the river spray made it slippery. Emma's lantern flickered, making shadows jump on the rocks. Every step felt like fighting her fear, which told her she'd fall, that she'd fail. The squirrel chattered nervously. The rabbit stayed close, but the fox ran ahead, sniffing. "It's okay," it called. And slowly they all went down. At the bottom was a wobbly rope bridge over the rushing river. The water looked dark and scary, its roar filling Emma's ears. Her legs froze. "What if it breaks?" she whispered, her hands shaking so much she almost dropped the lantern. The bird landed on her shoulder, its warmth calming her. "You chose this path," it sang softly. "You're stronger than you think." Emma took a deep breath, thinking of a village story about a boy named Arjun who crossed a scary bridge. One step at a time, she thought. She stepped onto the bridge. It swayed and creaked, making her heart bound. Her fear screamed, but she looked at the animals behind her. Their big eyes, their trust. Step by step she crossed, her fear loud but getting quieter. When she reached the other side, the animals followed their steps. Light and happy, the squirrel jumped into her arms laughing. You did it. Emma's heart felt big. Not with fear but with joy. The bridge wasn't as bad as her mind had made it seem. Night fell and the forest got darker. The group stayed close, their lantern making a small circle of light. The fox's ears twitched. I hear something. It whispered. A growl came from the trees and glowing eyes appeared. A wolf, big and scary. In the moonlight, Emma's body went cold. The rabbit hid behind her. The bird's wings shook and even the deer froze. We should run, the squirrel squeaked. Emma wanted to run to hide, but she remembered Arjun's story. How he faced a wolf and didn't back down. No, she said, her voice shaky but firm. We stay together. She held up the lantern, its light shining in the wolf's eyes. The animals huddled close, their warmth giving her strength. We're not scared, she said. Mostly to herself, her heart pounded. But she stood tall looking at the wolf. It growled again, then tilted its head like it was thinking. After a long moment it turned and vanished into the dark. The animals let out big breaths, their fear turning to wonder. You were so brave, the deer said softly. Emma's knees shook but she smiled. Wiping tears, I was so scared, she said laughing. But we did it together, the fox nudged her hand. That's what makes you brave. They walked on, the forest growing quieter as dawn's light peeked through the trees. After a long time they found the secret meadow. It was more beautiful than the stories. A clearing with flowers that glowed like stars, trees with golden leaves and a stream that sang softly. The air felt warm and happy. Full of friendship, the animals ran forward. Their fears gone, the squirrel spun in circles. The bird flew in happy loops, and the deer drank from the stream. The fox looked at Emma, its eyes shining. You got us here. Emma sat by the stream, drawing the meadow in her notebook. Her hands didn't shake anymore. She thought of Arjun's story, how fear was a teacher, not an enemy. She'd faced the dark paths, the scary bridge, the wolf, and each time her fear showed her how brave she could be. She looked at the animals now playing like best friends, and knew they'd helped her too. Their trust kept her going when she wanted to quit. As the sun rose higher, Emma knew she had to go home. The animals promised to visit, their friendship strong from the journey. She walked back through the forest, the shadows now friendly like old pals. When she got to the village, her mom ran out worried. Where were you? Emma smiled, her heart full. I was finding my bravery. That night, under the stars, Emma added a new page to her notebook. She wrote about the forest, the animals, and the meadow, but mostly about fear, not as something to stop her, but as a door. Every time she faced it, she got closer to who she really was. She closed her notebook, her hands steady, and whispered, "Fear is just the start." The next day, Emma sat by the forest again. Her notebook open. The village felt different now, brighter, like she'd brought some of the meadow's light back with her. Kids ran by laughing, and she wondered if they had fears too. She thought of the fox, the rabbit, the bird, the deer, and the squirrel, and how their trust had changed her. She decided to tell her story, to share it with anyone who felt scared like she had. Weeks passed and the animals kept their promise. The fox would sneak into the village at dusk, its eyes sparkling with mischief. The rabbit would hop to her doorstep, shy but happy. The birds sang songs from the trees. The deer visited quietly, and the squirrel brought her shiny pebbles, chattering about their adventure. Each visit reminded Emma of the meadow, of the fear she'd faced and the courage she'd found. One evening as the sun set, Emma sat with her mom, telling her about the forest. Her mom listened, her eyes soft. "You are so brave, Emma," she said, hugging her tight. Emma smiled, her heart warm. She knew fear would come again, maybe when she tried something new, like talking to new friends or exploring more of the forest. But now she knew fear wasn't a wall. It was a door, and on the other side was freedom. Emma's notebook filled with new drawings of the meadow, the animals, and herself standing tall. She shared her story with the village kids, who listened with wide eyes. "Don't be afraid of being scared," she told them. "It's okay to shake. Just take one step, then another, and you'll find your bravery." Some kids nodded their own fears. A little smaller, others asked her to tell the story again. And she did, each time feeling stronger. Years later, Emma was older, but she never forgot the forest. She still drew in her notebook, now full of adventures, some real, some imagined. The animals visited less often, but their friendship stayed in her heart. Whenever fear crept in, like when she thought about leaving the village, or trying something big, she remembered the bridge, the vault, the meadow. She'd take a deep breath, feel her hands steady, and step forward. So what fear is standing in your way today? Is it failing, being laughed at, or not knowing what's next? Think of Emma and her friends. Fear isn't something to run from. It's a guide to your courage. Take a step even if you're shaking, and you'll find the strength you always had. Share this story with someone who needs it, and let it remind you. Every journey through fear leads to something wonderful.